What's up, friends of the good mood? This is Manni and welcome to the full first gameplay mission of Armored Core 6 called Illegal Entry. Our handler Walter sends us to a distant star system to infiltrate the planet Rubicon 3 to basically get rich quick by obtaining some of that rare and mysterious substance called coral. As a mercenary, this is exactly your type of mission. However, you're entering this planet illegally since you don't have a valid ID and thus getting shot down during approach. Which leads to you, like with any of the recent From Software games, being in a pretty bad shape at first, serving as a tutorial to get you familiarized with everything. Here, however, the first mission also serves as an important milestone to get your name, your call sign, Raven, by pillaging remaining mech wreckages on the surface, hoping to find a valid, not expired ID and steal it. So much for the plan anyways, but because we got shot down, we landed way off grid, and our first goal is to get back to where we originally wanted to touch down. And for that there's a catapult not far that we can use to close the gap, to get closer to that point. Now, this game being made by From Software will inevitably mean a lot of similarities with the franchise of the Souls games, most noticeable during combat with a hard lock-on that's new to the Armored Core franchise. Also telegraphed attacks from bosses that will tell you pretty obvious that you should not get hit by this or that, and giving you an idea on how to avoid it. However, it also shares the same thing with trial and error, where you'll probably end up dying, you'll probably end up failing, learning from the mistake and making it better next time. That has always been a staple of the Souls series. There are also a lot of big differences to the Souls game, because this is an Armored Core game in its very core. More about the differences in a moment. So we've just arrived in our first combat situation with a starting mech using an assault rifle, a powerful laser blade for melee attacks, and a multi-lock missile system that gives us two ways of using it. With the hard lock on, we can hit our one target with all the rockets, or we can use the alternative soft lock-on state, and where we can control our camera freely and automatically lock on to what's closest to the crosshair and spread the missiles evenly between up to 4 targets. It's interesting because it allows you, or even makes you, experiment with different lock-on states throughout your gameplay, because depending on the situation you may require this or this more. Also, you'll find that the gameplay revolves a lot around mobility and dodging enemy attacks while precisely or accurately placing your own, and also using your stamina or thruster energy here, and you know, very conservatively, managing it very well, because once it's fully depleted, similar to the Souls games, you'll have to regenerate it all the way first before you can use it again, leaving you very vulnerable and almost immobilized on the ground. During this encounter here, we meet the first enemies utilizing physical shields against us, blocking our attacks very effectively. But Handler Walter reminds us that we have an energy blade for a melee weapon that guard breaks them and deals effective damage. And then, shortly after, we find the first wreckage of a mech that we analyze, but upon analyzing we find out that a license is expired, and unfortunately we cannot use it to move freely around Rubicon 3, which is our current goal. And moving on to the next wreckages that we've seen here indicated to us, we encounter the next big flying enemy coming in. Thankfully he hasn't noticed us, but we get the feeling that somehow we're probably gonna have to deal with this guy later, right? And it turns out it's the first boss to fight. We find the second mech, and yeah, again, unfortunately not the right one. We can't use it, we have to move on. And a few similarities I've already mentioned to the Souls games. Maybe I should also mention a few of the major differences between this and Armored Core. The combat, as you see here, is no longer bound to the ground. You have to actually use the 3 dimensions to evade attacks, because many enemies, including bosses most of all, will utilize big explosions and area effects on the ground that you have to get away from in order to get hit by, and that requires you to get into the air. Other missions literally require you to fly around massive targets that you attack and basically ascend them slowly but surely. Now, I am planning on making a full video about the differences and similarities between the two franchises. Just so much aside from exploration, you can buy your weapons and gear and everything from credits that you earn during missions. That is a major difference because it allows us to experiment with pretty much everything throughout the gameplay, test every weapon in combination, which is exactly what I like to do. I am the type of person who finds the perfect build if it exists, and that is what I will be doing, and I'm looking forward to it. By the way, here we found the last mech, and it's the one that we actually need. This is the correct one, but it's getting guarded. Who would have thought, by the AH-12HC helicopter. The first boss battle that is rather tricky because you have to get a lot in the air to dodge his explosions on the ground, and you need to try and get him staggered, which he is currently with his red bar. That means he lost control and he takes additional damage during that time. Your weapons have different damage ratings and energy consumption and whatsoever, but they also trigger the stagger state differently, and it is always going to be your goal during combat to try and get your enemy into the staggered state so you can pull off your most powerful attacks during that time and inflict heavy damage. This is how Vativica here in this case managed to defeat this boss and got him destroyed. Boom. Thus finishing the first mission and obtaining and stealing the identity from this mech down below, which will reward us with the call sign Raven in the end, which is pretty cool. It says, "Welcome back, Raven." Number RB23. Awesome. Another massive thing I'm looking forward to is, when I get into this game a lot, is the fact that you can make your own hardcore modes. This is something I'll be doing. For example, you can change your mech at the end when you die during a boss fight, for example. A hardcore mode would that we make ourselves would mean that you can't do it. No, you can't change your mech. You have to stick with it. And I'll be doing stuff like that as well. So hopefully you guys, if you like the content, stay tuned and follow me into the next videos that will come very soon. Also, we will be making a video about all the leg types or movement types, tracks, tank tracks, and all the legs there are in the game. So stay tuned for that as well. For now, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and comment down below. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe as brutal as a man can hit for more. Thanks for bearing with me. You guys are awesome as always. Manni signing off. Bye-bye.